maybe we should tell him he could come home. I said, no, do not tell him he can come home. And so then I spent about 45 minutes on the phone with him, building him up, encouraging him, reminding him who he was. But I said, hey, look, since you were 5 years old, I've taught you open-ended and closed-ended questions. I've taught you how to tell a story. I've had you around other men too, that are successful men, and how to make conversation with them too. You have everything in you to be successful.
This is The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Whether you're a seasoned real estate expert, a first-time home buyer, or if you're simply passionate about hearing small business stories, this is the podcast for you. Join us as we dive deep into the world of real estate and beyond.
Well, here we are with episode 23 of The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. I'm your host, Janine Igliani, with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Hatcher.
What's up?
And our guest today is none other than Tyler with Starlight Homes, and we are so excited to have you because not only are you just a super cool guy, but you work with the home builders in that industry. So we want to pick your brain, but you also are totally in alignment with us in terms of family, faith, working out, like all the things. So this will be fun.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today too. I'm
thanks
super
for being
excited.
here.
Thank you.
It will be fun. I was telling her yesterday, you post so much good stuff on Instagram. Like it's the same type of stuff that I feel like I post. So I love it.
Although you and I commented on your stuff this morning.
Yeah.
So we like the same. So you were posting the one on Jocko too.
Oh yeah.
With the whole the whole term when things go bad, you
That's
say
a
good.
good one.
You say good.
It is
love
good.
it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Go check that out.
Definitely.
So tell us about yourself and how you got into the new build world.
So just like you're saying, like being in alignment with values and family and all that too, my dad's a realtor, brother's a realtor, stepmom's a realtor, and my wife's a realtor.
Dang.
So it's all in the family. And really where it started out too is when my mom divorced from my dad, we were living in a double-wide trailer in Corvallis, Oregon. And he decided to go into real estate. Now, we'd always done flips growing up. Like, I roofed my first house at 7 years old.
Wow.
Awesome.
So my dad had rentals. So we were always, every weekend, and he would always tell us, like, on Saturday, like, renters are moving in on Monday, but nobody moves in on Monday, right? But we believed him, like, so we had to work really hard
That's
that Saturday.
awesome.
And then he was a pastor, so Sunday we couldn't work, so it had to get done Saturday. Wow. So he started doing that, and we started in real estate. He literally started in a phone book.
Oh, wow.
So he was at this little bitty real estate office in Lebanon, Oregon. He would go in the phone book and just start calling people. Hey, my name is Roger Elliott. Just want to find out if you want to know what your home was worth, if you're in the market, and start calling. And this little real estate office, kind of funny story. They used to sell cigarettes out the back of it.
Oh my
And he had a
gosh.
filter in his office with people smoking and all that too when I'd go see him. And he just started grinding. And so seeing him do that too, I was really blown away. And fast forward 15 years later, he's a realtor of the year in Oregon.
Oh, I love
way.
it.
So my dad. So whenever I like anything that I am in my life is my dad, and then his brother, his uncle Steve, really set the tone. So coming out of college, I graduated from Oregon State, speech communications, 1999.
Communication
Yeah.
majors.
Oh, they're the
Mine
best.
too.
And what is your advisor goes? Oh, I go. What do I do with speech
Right.
communications? You go into sales.
Right,
That's what they tell you. Yeah.
Totally.
And you really learned everything: nonverbal,
100%.
small group communication, interpersonal, all those
Yes,
things, right?
all of it.
Which help you with this job so
Life,
much.
Oh, yeah.
Because
for
we're either
sure.
on the phone with people, text, call, all that too, but in person a lot with people. So that was really just great to have. And out of college, I'm selling Radio Shack, selling electronics. And then from there, I get recruited to go to Sprint. I'm making 200 outbound cold calls a day, trying to sell people long distance. And then from there, end up doing some recruiting and staffing, and then I'm selling copiers door to door in Portland.
Door to
The
door.
Rainier,
Gosh,
door to
good-
door.
good,
Yep.
experience,
So just going to
yeah.
every business. So that's why, like, when I came, how long have I been coming to your office? Like since 2015, 2016.
yeah,
I brought a
probably.
Kneaders basket
I
today
love
with
it.
price sheets, like we always do.
And it looks so good.
yeah, I mean, but that's like the fun part of real estate.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I want to do one little segue on that too. Like doing the drops here at your office. That Remax office that used to be in Queen Creek, I did 40 drops there before they gave me my first deal.
Wow.
So like it's that persistence
It
and
is.
determination in real estate.
And never giving up. Yeah.
No, and I know you guys, everyone here has similar stories too.
Consistency.
But it's really too just it's consistent, like smiling, first impression. Always bring goodies, right?
So I will say this: that is the main thing I remember about you is every single time I've seen you, you're smiling.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Dude, I
Thank you.
seriously, I don't think I've ever seen you frown. So that's impressive.
I really try to do that. I mean,
So
I'm-
at the gym, I've seen him friend.
yeah, he has. Yeah. There's a lot of yelling and all that too, definitely. But no, that's definitely you want to be that your calling card, and then similar to like you guys have done. You guys have built a brand here.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, right, man, with that smile, you want that to be your brand and what people remember you for, especially in this industry, be remembered.
One of the things I think that we take for granted in our world is, in people in general, right, is we affect others, like our energy, how we show up, and we can either leave like a positive effect or a negative effect. And so when you're aware of that and intentional with that, it's amazing. And I just came from a signing with a client and signed them this morning, like amazing, fun time. And it's just, I'm so thankful for that. And you definitely do that, Tyler. You leave just such a positive energy where you uplift everybody around you. So
thank you. The feeling is definitely mutual with all you all and the team. Cool. And to your point too, Janine, on that too, I read a book called Leadership Starts in the Locker Room. Mike Smith, coach of the Falcons, John Corden wrote Energy Bus. And what they said, they looked at the Heart Association, and your energy is 10 feet around you. So if we have great energy, like this room right now, like right when I'm walking, Alexa had great energy. We all hugged, handshakes, all that too. My energy, it just goes higher and higher and higher. That's absolutely what you want. But if my energy is bad, right, you can absolutely feel it.
For sure.
And you guys have people that work on your team or have hired people through the years. And I hire people too for my job, my salespeople. And that first 7 seconds is probably the most important.
Huge.
Your smile, your energy, right? And because that's how you're going to greet people.
Especially coming into a new build office, right? I hate when I walk into a new build office and you can just feel like, ugh, right? It just doesn't. But then the flip side, when it's positive and inviting, it just makes it such a better experience. So. And
I try and hold it back at first, like when you guys come in, because I don't want them to feel like you're representing them. So not like, hey, they brought them here and they're on Tyler's side, like they're going to take the builder side. But I just am so excited to see you. And super blessed that you would trust somebody coming to my community too.
Yeah.
So with my dad, so he was doing real estate this whole time, and I'm doing copy sales. Get down here to Arizona. I have to give a shout out. I'm married, 4 kids.
Yes.
So met Christy at the singles group at church. That's how we met too. Nice. Met her 5.5 months later. We're married, and we're married 20 years in October.
That's awesome.
So super blessed. So anything I have from here is because of her. Because I'll let you guys probably always saw it too. When you get married and have kids, like your sales capacity and skill goes on a whole nother level because now you have responsibility.
For sure.
That why. I remember when I was selling copiers, I go sleep in my car, get my car washed, grab some business cards out of a sandwich shop, fishbowl, right? Go take me, I want the 20. Like, not honest, right?
Yeah.
But then once you have kids, like you go home and you're getting on for your homework, then you remember you were surfing Instagram 30 minutes earlier in the day. It's the funniest thing how you can see when you're a hypocrite when you're talking to your kids and flash back to that moment either that day or a week ago.
Yeah.
So, and then also too, just like you can't really look your kids in the eye. You got to work hard, do your best, all that too on your homework at school, and then you're not doing the same.
You know, it's so funny because I even, again, just this morning working out, I don't know why this popped in my head, but I had this vision of my kids watching me work out. And it was just like, they would be so proud of me. And I was proud of myself for that example, right? And you think about that in your work. Like our kids watch all the things that we do. They hear our conversations. I want to make them proud. And it motivates me. So
I totally agree with that.
It's a good exercise.
Totally agree with that. Your actions, right? More than our words. And so I'm all over the place a little bit. I just want to jump to this story for a second.
Fine.
So my second oldest son is 25. He lives in Joplin, Missouri. The way he ended up out there. Yeah. Missouri too, brother? Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So Missouri Southern State University is where Joplin is too. Yeah. And a couple of years ago when he had the pandemic, his niece or cousin was moving there to play basketball on scholarship. So it's like, hey, what have I got to lose, right? So loads up his Mazda 3, moves out there too, and he goes into Ford dealership right there, and we tell him how to dress, haircut, all that, how we teach our kids, right? Right when he walked in, he's like, I'm looking if you guys are hiring, like you're hired right now, because the way he looks, right?
Awesome.
He goes in, starts working the next day, and he's in the training program, and he finally transitions into going on the draw. So that's on a Monday. Thursday, he calls us from the bathroom at the dealership crying. Like, hey, I don't know if I can make it, so much pressure, I'm stressed out. And Christy being mom, right, said, hey, well, maybe we should tell him he could come home. I said, no. Do not tell him he can come home. Yeah. And so then I spent about 45 minutes on the phone with him, building him up, encouraging him, reminding him who he was. But I said, hey, look, since you were 5 years old, I've taught you open-ended and closed-ended questions. I've taught you how to tell a story. I've had you around other men, too, that were successful men, and how to make conversation with them, too. You have everything in you to be successful. Just I need to remind you of that. So that was October. January, salesperson of the year. And then he was salesperson of the year for Ford, Missouri last year.
That's awesome.
The trophy.
I got chills, Tyler. That is such an awesome story. Yeah. And that's what we need to do with our kids. So many parents out there don't do that. And they're like, yeah, come home. Let me save you. Let me rescue you. Yeah. But one of the things that I love is those difficulties. That's where they grow and learn and really figure out who they're made of. We just had the same thing with our daughter. She quit her job, didn't tell us that she did that. And that was one of our requirements. And so she's running out of money. And she's like, Mom, I need you to transfer money. And I was like, sorry, I'm not doing it.
No.
She's like, but I have no money. I'm like, sorry, you got to get a job. And as a parent on the outside, I'm like, okay, I hope she's okay. I hope she figures it out. But I'm like, you know what? That struggle is going to make her. And that's part of life, right? I can't save or rescue her. So I love that.
Yeah, because it's totally a test, right? And she has to pass that. And also, you and Ray have done such a great job. Everything's in here right now to find the money. And when I was in college, I gave plasma every 3 days. Right, and I was working 2 other jobs, right? So ain't no shame in my game. Like he pumped that arm, and I'm big like Ryan, so we had to do the full leader. Like, I take my little buddy, he was like 5'2", 130. He's done 15 minutes. Like I'm still in there watching Pauly Shore on In the Army Now, right? Pumping my arm. But I want to compliment that too, because I've seen you and Ray. You take your kids with you, right? To show them, and Ryan too, especially like same with you, like how you're teaching your boys to be men. And that was the point, because there's a great book called Wild at Heart with John Eldredge, right? To teach you about raising boys, for example, and you're doing your boy a disservice and your girls if they aren't tested before they leave.
Oh yes.
Right.
Oh yes.
And that was a test.
Yes.
And like you said, inside you, we want to rescue, right? Like so bad.
Right.
But we're not doing them any service, because I need to know that as a
Yep.
mother and father, a husband and wife one day, because it's gonna be tough, right?
Yes.
They're going to make it. And to that point, too, so remember, like you always pray, like, hey, I want a strong marriage and great kids.
Right.
So you know what God did? He gave me the easiest, most comfortable life. No, He didn't, right?
Yeah.
Because in 2006, lost both homes. Christy had filed bankruptcy before we got married, too. Gave a car back, all that, too. And then my daughter, we short sold our last home. For 6 months, every night we tucked her in and said, hey, when can I go home? Because we're in the rental. So that made our marriage stronger, and my kids, like their hunger and drive and discipline and hustle is so different. Because you have those Friday nights where you're doing Little Caesars pizza, right?
Right.
$5 hot nuggies, going through the piggy banks, and maybe we get breadsticks, right? So all that too, but that builds it too.
For sure.
So jumping back a little bit too for real estate. So move here, meet Christy, get married, and of course when Christy married me too. I got let go from my job 2 weeks before we got married. I was $13,000 in debt. So she really married me at the top.
Right?
So, and I'm selling copiers down here, which down here they call it hot knocks, because I'm downtown Phoenix. So I would like leave my wallet in the car, because so many homeless people would ask me for money, and I said I don't have my wallet. I didn't want to lie, right? I didn't want to get jumped either, too, like that too. So I've been doing cold calls downtown Phoenix for copiers. And my dad, now growing up, you've seen this already too in families. You sell it to the parents, then you sell to the kids, right? And then one day maybe grandkids, right? Because my dad's voicemail always says he's a realtor for life.
Oh,
right?
I love it.
Yeah, so with all that too. So we're getting to that point. So I'm getting all my buddies in my age group are buying homes. And what's my dad doing? I'm telling my dad, and he's doing referrals with everybody all over the United States, New York, California, Colorado. Referrals are based. So in like 2 months, I gave my dad these referrals. He made like $10,000. And I'm kind of scratching my head going like, my dad, seen my dad do real estate my whole life too. I can sell. I'm selling copiers door to door, and Christy's working from home for a law firm too.
Which is harder.
Yeah, I was like, well, let's make the jump. So the way it was set up, I finally passed my real estate exam. I started with Coldwell Banker because my buddy worked for a relo company. He said, if you go to Coldwell or Century 21, we own them, we give you leads. Like, okay, cool, that's why I'm going to go. So I interviewed with both. Ended up at Coldwell Banker, and that shout out to Coldwell Banker. So when you start there, you can't sell anything for a first month.
Oh.
Monday through Wednesday, you have to train.
Wow.
So Monday through Wednesday, I would go train in Phoenix, and then Thursday through Sunday, I sold at the Radio Shack at Superstition Springs.
how funny.
Shout out to Radio Shack again.
Yeah.
So,
Are they still around?
Yeah, I knew it. No, I knew I could sling those cell phones, make some spiffs, you make some commission. And Christy was working like that. So we're doing 7 days a week, but it was great. And then this is all what your kids are seeing too, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to shout out to Radio Shack too. Before you can sell Radio Shack, you have to train for 2 weeks
I love it.
before you sell.
Awesome.
So like all these jobs, like as you look
Yeah.
at your past, how it all lined up to where you're at.
And it makes you appreciate it more. You know, Ryan, you have told this story several times that you video each home that you live in, right? And one of the reasons you do it is so that your kids can see where you came from.
Yeah.
You didn't always have this life that you have now.
Man, we lived in a fourplex, and we had one little unit. It was less than 800 square feet. That's where we started when we got married. And I went around with the video camera because I wanted my kids to know when they leave my house, this is where we started. So don't expect to have this and rack up, credit card debt just to keep that lifestyle.
I totally agree with you. That was the conversation when we moved my son out, the one that's 25, was this lifestyle took 17 years to get to.
Yeah.
And you're getting too comfortable in it. Just like you're saying, Ryan, like, yeah, you need to remember, like, this didn't just happen overnight.
No.
And I remember when you were still working at State Farm and doing real estate State Farm, you were doing both, man. You hustling both.
Oh, man.
And then also, too, like, you the OG, the bridges, like, nobody touches you in the bridges, man. And then Power Ranch, for you all here, it's just like, nobody touched, like, yeah, you guys own those territories, too.
But it took time to build up. And that's the conversation with new agents as well. And also with our kids, right? Like, I remember, to your point, our struggles, Ray working 3 jobs at one point to make ends meet for us, right? Like, I love him for that he did that. That's what a real man does, right? Is to step up for your family. But yeah, it takes takes time and it doesn't just happen. So you got to pay your dues.
I just got the tingles when you said that about Ray for a second because Ray doesn't complain. Ray worked 3 jobs, take care of his family, and he will not complain.
Nope.
And you know, I know that too. When you're talking about working out, you can tell a lot with people about working out with them. And every time I worked out, Ray never complains. Ray talks trash, cracks jokes with you. He's always lifting 2 more pounds than I am. You know, oh, you lift time 350. I was 352. I got those ones on there. Like he always right too.
He's a
but
stud.
no complaining.
No,
right.
for
And
sure.
then look at the life he chose to serve others.
Oh
right.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
amazing.
sorry, that's why I got the tingles.
Oh, he's
sorry
amazing.
about
Me
Ray
too,
too.
me too, so.
Because they're good people. Good people.
I love it.
So finally, I was like, all right, I'm selling copiers during the day and real estate on the night weekends. And when I was in the training class, there's this girl, and I'm noticing her mailboxes, it disappears after a year. She's a single mom, 3 kids. So I hit her up like, hey, what's wrong? You know, like Coldwell anymore? She's like, I actually went into new home sales because then like I could work one job and have benefits. It's like, okay, because she was selling furniture on the side and real estate too. I said, okay. So I go home and tell Christy, and at this time we just had Soph, like our 4th kid. We're in a 1,300 square foot condo, Augusta Ranch. You guys know where that's at too, like up there, right?
Yeah.
And when we moved in, we didn't know the people had the fans on dog pee on the carpet when we bought it, which is like, yeah, I learned a lot of lessons there too.
Little kids
Yeah.
too.
So we got an infant in our room and a pack and play. The other 3 kids too. And Christy goes, all right, I'm gonna borrow against my 401k. You're gonna quit the copier job. I want you to go get new home certified with Highland Bay. And then only pressure is how you got to win Top Gun. No pressure. Because they placed the Top Gun with the builder.
Nice.
So she, like, literally, we just had a baby.
Right.
Quit your job, similar to Ray, right?
Yeah,
3
yeah,
jobs too.
yeah.
I was like, going back to our spouses, like, we hit home runs, like, believe in us, right?
Yeah.
So I do that. So I quit my job, go to Highland Bay, and this time it's in Glendale. So we're driving like 5 days, of all 5 days. And when I get there, like going back in time. So when I did copier sales, Xerox flew me to Virginia for 2 weeks. They have 4 buildings in the middle of nowhere with underground tunnels. And everything they have you do as a presentation is on camera and they break it down. So this is back when I was 23.
Yeah.
So I had already like been through like, and the lady that taught us was an auditor for the IRS and ex-FBI. So she was so intense. Like it was nothing like, you did a good
Right,
job.
right.
Like high five. I was like, you messed up.
Yeah.
Like you did horrible. I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Can I tell you this really
Yeah,
quick
yeah.
side note? One of the best things in college, in a speech and debate class, we would film our speeches and the professor would go in a private room and comment as you're giving your speech. And then she would give that back to you with your grade. And it was the best thing ever to hear her live comments. But it was also really good. So anybody that has to give a presentation should film themselves doing it beforehand.
Yes.
But also, I surprised myself by how well I showed up, right? So such a good exercise to do.
And I want to compliment that because when I see you do your homes, you're so polished,
Thank you.
right? Because it's very composed and polished, and I'm locked
Tyler,
in.
we need to have you here all the
No,
time.
no. Well, no, but I'm locked in. I stop and I listen,
Thank
and I
you.
always make a mental note because you don't know who you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
Blue 32 or somewhere else
Yeah.
too. Like,
Right.
oh hey, Janine got a house down
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
Too.
That's awesome.
So because I'd had that experience, like being under the microscope in that warehouse, they have a full kitchen. And they're like, hey, who wants to go first to demo? I raise my hand. I always want to go first in
Love
a role
it.
play because I want to set the bar
Yes,
super high and intimidate
yes, I
everybody.
love it.
And I want to smoke you. I'm taking your
Yes,
soul. Like David Goggins, right?
yes.
Always, because
I love
now
it.
everybody gets compared to you, right? So I go in and just literally murder, like the kitchen, like
I
easy,
bet.
like that
I
too.
have
Yeah.
no doubt.
And then all the role plays in there too. I'm slicing and dicing 30 other people, like
Yeah.
just. And I'm also too. It's like Chrissy got me all hyped up, like
Yeah.
quit your job, like
Yeah.
no pressure, but win Top Gun, like 'cause she
Right?
always gives me a little push. Like I
love
appreciate
it.
that so much.
Can we just talk about that for a
Yeah.
second? Like your spouse, I'm sure you can totally second this, Ryan, like makes all the difference, you know? And I see it more specifically from a woman to a man. Like we as women have a lot of power with our husbands and we can use that power and influence for good or for bad. But when your husband knows that you believe in him, he will go out there and slay dragons for you.
Agree.
And that's the biggest gift that we as wives can give to our husbands.
I've seen that on Undercover Boss with a guy that sang and was happy cleaning porta johns because he had a great wife. And when I met Ryan's wife the first time, her light's brighter than Ryan.
She's amazing.
It was crazy, bro. Like you guys walk up, we're having a realtor event too. What's up like that too? Meet your wife and just go like, wow.
I don't remember when that was.
Chandler.
Good memory.
Dre put together with DR Horton. We had 100
Oh,
realtors
yeah,
there. What's the one? I can't remember the place too, but restaurant too. But you brought her.
Wow.
It's like because we got to meet her too. We're like super stoked to get to meet her too.
That's cool.
She's
Yeah.
fun. She's
Yeah,
fun.
and I see her in your stuff. You were giving her props the other day about fixing the microwave.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah,
Yeah. She's a
awesome.
boss, right? Yeah. So I went. So during the whole training, this lady next to me goes, "Hey, you're really good. My husband works at Morrison Homes, which was before Taylor Morrison. Give me a resume." I'm like, "Okay." I give her my resume. Never met her husband, right? Win Top Gun, and they're trying to place me. He gives my resume to the managers at Taylor Morrison, and I get an interview. So I call that girl, like, like you always want to leverage the people. I
Yes.
call that girl, said, so she got a job at Standard Pacific. And then also, I'm like, okay, well, how did she do it? And I want to rewind one more thing. Sorry to go back to Faith. So a couple months prior to that decision, too, when Christy was working from home and I was working, both jobs, we had my daughter go to a family member that had a daycare in July. And they left her outside all day. And I remember picking her up. We had a Buick at that time, 3 in the front, 3 in the back. And she was so thirsty. And I remember praying to God, saying, if I could have one job where Christy wouldn't have to work and I could have benefits for my kids, I'll do it. And then we prayed those big prayers, right? And then that got answered, too. So I called that girl up again. I said, hey, look, with new home sales at that time, it was very difficult to get a job. It should always be difficult, I think, to get that job. But she's like, you need to make yourself the product to sell. So I met her like over by Superstition Springs because then I was going to Kinko, and she showed me she had a 3-ring binder on herself. So you guys have listing presentation. You do a listing presentation for yourself.
I love it.
So you have like the front cover, all your commission checks, resume, letters of recommendation, all like a book on you. So I built that, and then what I did before I went to the interview, I went to every Morrison Home community, interviewed all their agents, and said, what's the top 3 things to be successful here and top 3 things not to be successful in
Were
new
they
home sales?
consistent?
Yes.
What were they?
It was different for everybody too. But the main thing was too, like it was attitude and energy, right? First, show up every single day, ask everybody to buy, right? Too, and then know your product, be prepared, right? So
Can we break those down super quick? Say them again.
So you want to be prepared every single day. So your energy, don't have the good and bad days. Like we're going to marriages, like I've got to make sure everything's right with Christy when I leave for the day, right? Then also I need to be prepared, and then I need to ask everyone to buy.
Yeah.
I had a division president. He made me put that sign on my door, and the sign said when they were leaving, he said, "Did you ask them to buy?"
I think that is the biggest thing that salespeople don't do because they're afraid of rejection. But it's also the biggest thing that our clients need us to do. They need us to ask. They need us to lead them in the process because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they need to tell us, hey, I actually do want to buy this, or I do want to sell. They need you to guide them in that. And that's, I think, one of the biggest mistakes that agents make is they don't ask for the sale.
So quick example.
Yes.
Give me one how you ask.
Ask to buy, always somebody close. So, for example, like, and can we do, you mind, Ryan, if we just role play for a second too, man, with the two to have fun? This is probably one of my favorite ones too.
Okay.
So, and then Ryan, give me your wife's name again too.
Carrie.
Carrie, okay. So, Ryan, just tell me you want to think about it. Say, hey, Ryan, we looked at the homes, and what do you guys think?
Well, we like them, but I think we need some time to think about it.
Hey, Ryan, I totally understand where you're coming from. You and Carrie are probably like Chrissy and I, my wife and I. We want to make a big decision. We want to think about it, right? But usually when you want to think about it is due to lack of information. So let's go back to the home. The home you guys picked out was that 2-story on the cul-de-sac. While we're in the home, your kids were running around the loft, and they were already picking out rooms. You could already see, like, hey, we can have birthday parties here. People can park to. It faces north-south because you guys want to put the pool in too, right? It checked all the boxes. And from a time frame standpoint too, you guys sold your other home, and this one can close in 30 days. Lastly, what we talked about too, you talked to your lender as well. They're looking at rates. I gave you a screaming rate right now because we bought down the rate at 5.5, and the payment you're going to make on this home was actually $100 less than one you're making on your previous home. So with all that being said, is there any reason why we can't get the contract started today, Ryan?
That's good. I love it.
And then I had a good takeaway one I learned from a guy, Tony Allen, I've been doing a long time. So Ryan said, hey, look, give it to me again. I want to think about it.
I want to think about it.
Hey, Ryan, let's talk about your second choice. Because the one you guys want is going to be gone by the time you think about that home, right?
Good.
Because the home you're looking at today was the same home someone looked at yesterday and will come back and buy today. So the one you liked was on the corner. Second choice was on the power lines. So we can live with either the pain of victory, right? Well, not pain, right? Or the victory, or we can live with the pain of regret.
Right.
So when you look in Carrie's eyes later tonight, too, and you guys are still thinking about rolling around in bed, then you call me tomorrow morning, it's gone. What are you guys going to say? So what we got to do to get you in that first choice, Ryan?
Good.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's Andy Elliott right there.
All the way,
buddy.
bro. And that's what he put me on stage. I do in front of 400 people.
That's
love it.
awesome.
That same one,
I
right,
bet
too?
You killed it.
But that's preparation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and going back to what you said, Janine. So I came in here with a cross to bear. I watch realtors pull buyers out of my offices constantly. So my team so here's how. So builders, what are builders doing every day? They're doing
That's insane to me.
Yep, they're doing open houses, right? So whenever a realtor goes, open houses don't work. Every builder on the planet does a 7-day-a-week open house, right? But what we've done is I've trained my people. So here's what I've trained my people to do. So I have 3 things for new home sales, like hang our hat on. Back to what you were saying, Ryan, too. First one is critical path. So I want to greet you, right? So the energy, first 7 seconds. I want to qualify. How soon are you guys looking to move? Where do you live now? What's the bank been telling you about the loan? Demonstrate the home and demonstrate based on what they've told you, what they want, right? Site, show them where it's located, and then I got to close, right? But in that qualifying stage, too, I need to find out your urgency, your income, and your need. And that's what you guys do on listing presentations. And when people call in here, want you to represent them as buyers too, that's all the information you find. So those are the two things. I keep it really simple on that too. And then in real new home sales, we shop everybody, which when you're saying recording, that'd be great if you had someone shop you and didn't know it, right? They shop you and then they break down your shop to get better, right? That's the only way. Because here's the quote I learned in training recently. It's like, if you're not role playing with your salespeople, they're practicing on your customers.
Absolutely.
That's so good.
Right? And anybody says, I don't like role plays, then let's break it down. If you're good, you can wing it and be in the top 20%. If you're the best, you prepare and practice and you be in the top 2.
Yep.
Right? Because most people won't say to Ryan, hey, role play me.
Right.
No one will.
Right.
And then not break eye contact.
Especially on stage.
No,
Right.
not on stage
in
in front of people. But if I can do it in front of 400 people, I can do it one-on-one all day long. That's going to go back. I'll tell this funny story. So you guys do listen presentations with people too. So another job I had in college was Sears siding and windows. Okay. So this is before GPS. Remember the Thomas Guide maps?
Oh, yeah.
I would have to do 3 sits in one day. They're
MapQuest.
4-hour sits a day.
Oh my gosh.
So I'd have like one in Eugene, one on the coast, and one in Vancouver, Washington. All in one day. Honda Prelude, got the full window in the back seat, all the siding in the trunk, right? And Sears had a 14-step sales cycle you had to follow. But the number one thing was building rapport. I had to sit there 4 hours. I was not allowed to talk about windows for an entire hour.
Yeah, I love it.
Right?
Jeez.
And then if I didn't get the sale, I have to go out and sit in my car, call my manager to go all the steps. The first thing he asks is, how long was the warm-up?
Oh.
Because I'm seeing that with agents now.
100%.
They don't know how to warm people up. They don't know how to build rapport.
I talk about this with my team all the time. We need to listen more than we talk.
Yes.
And the beginning of any of our consultations, whether it's a buyer consultation, a listing presentation, is all about them, to the point where it's annoying. And I'll stop them when we're going through things and bring it back to the more personal side of things, just so I make sure that I really build that rapport. And at the end of the day, people want to work with someone they know, like, and trust. And so the way that you do that is through that rapport, and people who talk the most feel like the conversation went the best, and people love to talk about themselves. So ask about them and be genuinely interested, genuinely care. One of my favorite conversation topics with older couples is, what did they do for a living and when did they retire? They love to talk about that, and I love to hear it.
Yes.
So be genuinely interested. That shows up.
Agreed, because you care. And I have a format for it. I learned it actually in Bible college. That's another story. But it was form, family. How many people in your family? Where did you guys grow up, right? Oh, what do you guys do for work, occupation? Our recreation, what do you guys like to do for fun? And then your message. Those 4, you can break it down. New agents.
Yeah.
Ask them how many people, well, we did on dates, right?
Yeah,
How
right.
many brothers and sisters, where your mom, dad, where you
Right.
grew up to, family. And people will talk about their family.
Yeah.
Hey, where do you work? Everybody wants to talk where they work, right?
Yeah.
And then what do you guys like to do for fun? Which I'd always take notes with the girls, because that's the
For
dates we do
sure,
later on,
right.
right? So, like, what do you like to do for fun? Recreation, because people love our boat or
Yes.
camping, or like we go to the
Yes.
Diamondbacks. And the message, now you got them, right? Now they're going to listen because you showed the care to get to know them. One of my tops, so commercial for communities. I have 2 communities in Florence, one in San Valley. My top salesperson, her name is Summer. And with Summer, too, she does the least amount of talking. Ask all the questions. I blink. I go in the other room. Hey, what's going on, Summer? Oh, I'm just writing them up. That's the pros. Pros don't out-talk everybody. Pros ask the questions, and then you got them.
Yep.
Right?
Hey, I got to ask you a question. So a while back, one of my friends posted something that really stuck with me, and that is, he has non-negotiables in his life. You are the type of person that I know has them. What are they? What are your non-negotiables that you do every day?
Yeah. Number one is it's got to be God first. So I'm going to do my Devo, and then I'm really trying to like expand that more, like worship in the morning, worship before you go to bed, right? So that family, number 2. Like, so Christy and the kids, my responsibility to them. And then number 3 is I got to work out. Like, I just need to do that. I need to, partly for me too, it's like we're all competitive, right? And then also too, there's a verse in the Bible talks about, like Paul was talking about beating your body or running the race as to, to win the prize. I want to do that in my life.
Yes.
So those things definitely for sure. And then at the end of it, you got to have fun. So I had a good sales manager. I tried my first shop. He said, Tyler, I just want you to listen and be yourself. That goes back to what you said, Janine, right? Not talk more, because that was the thing too. Remember, selling's not telling.
Yes.
Remember that quote? We've all
Yes.
heard it, like selling, and then we don't need to feature dump. My Sears manager taught me that. He goes, I was looking for a minivan. I go into every dealership. They tell me all these other 10 things. All I wanted to know was cup holders. The 5th one I went to
Right.
said 14 cup holders sold.
Yep.
The guy got quiet and went and wrote the
Yep.
contract.
Yes.
That's all he wanted.
Sometimes I think we talk too much and we almost talk ourselves out of it, right? Where
Yeah.
we're giving them too much. Give them what they need and they'll be good.
And then art of a compliment. Teach your kids. So I have boys, and they'd always like rip each other at dinner table out too. So we made this thing at dinner, like you had to compliment the person on your right every night till you learned how to give a compliment. I compliment your shirt, his hat, right? Too, to like it's natural, right? People soak it up and love it too. It's genuine too. This is not fake for me. It's totally genuine too.
It is, yeah.
But no one gives compliments and no one encourages. Right. And then when you're saying like going to people's home, they have proud. So when I sold windows and siding too, I always had dog and cat treats too with me because the pets are number one.
I love
right?
that.
So I take them and they make a friend with their pets, and then you're in. People love you, but you have to show you care about them too.
Yeah.
Because pets are, especially older couples, you guys see the pets are their life, right?
They are, yes.
So you better give respect to the pets too
like
and
their
love on them.
kids.
Yeah, they are
That's
totally.
a good idea. Let's get some dog and cat treats to bring with us just in case.
Yeah, why not? Or they do like the special,
I
like
love
they have the
it.
people that make the special cookies.
Yes.
Because Christy, they do the ones for dogs and cats that say
Yes.
"Welcome home"
Yeah,
with your
I
home
love
selling team on it,
that.
right?
I
Yeah,
love
let's do
that.
it.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's a great
It'd
idea.
be fun. Yeah, but it's be fun to be different, right?
I love it.
Then going back to like we were talking about, let them buy. So my people are taught to close you, right? And they're not closing you just to close you. Like they've done the work, right? The somebody close is not
Yeah.
me just asking to buy a home when I didn't ask you any questions or do my job and listen, right? But I'll have agents go, and the people are, I can feel it. You know, you guys have done this long enough. You know when people are going to buy. You absolutely do, right? We'll feel it, and they'll go, yeah, we got 10 other homes we got to go look at. We'll literally hit the ejection seat right then and pull, and you're trying to pull back. And I'll joke like, hey, no, I locked the door, let the air, you guys tired, you guys
Yeah.
buying. You're like,
Yeah.
I'll crack a joke like that too,
Right,
yeah,
right.
like that. And they'll be like, it's a buy one, get one free weekend. Come on, let's go. Who's buying? You know, like that too. And then, but I'll still try one more time too. I say, okay, well, hey, what are you guys going to look at?
Yeah.
Because I've memorized all my other builders, and I memorized the resale around there too. Well, we got a home down the street. Oh, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath at 1,600 square feet.
Yep.
That one was built in 2001. How's the AC looking?
Right.
Open-ended question, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Now let's talk about the energy efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Hey, the rate on that one, what is? Because right now I'm offering 5.5 30-year fix. What rate are you guys getting? Open-ended questions, right? And then that scares people anymore. Not bad, but hey, I have a family, right? And I've done my due diligence. I've done my homework. I love pull the Ben Franklin out, right? Well, you guys looking at Pull T2 Rich from America? Let's look. I want to Pull T Rich from America. Let's
Yeah.
see. You guys you look at the Violet program there too? You guys look at the Hunter program here too? I've totally looked at them too. Against my Hummingbird see?
I love it.
And then people are confident, right?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I love it.
And then you got to, because you want to run, that I always tell all my new people too, you're running your own Starlight franchise. How would you run your franchise, right?
Yes.
When you put the key in the door, we spent $15 to $17 million on the land development, the homes, the trades, all that too. How would you run it, right? If I gave you a franchise, this is yours, so you need to run it like that. You're the CEO.
That's a great concept. When I worked for corporate America, for a Fortune 50 company, huge, my team, I would tell them all the time, this is our little Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
This is our shop. And you think about it differently. When
You totally do.
when you're an entrepreneur in a big corporation like that, you look at it completely differently.
And I love you gave the reference to Chick-fil-A because that's like the top of all of it, right? Yeah.
Because it's different. They don't even call themselves fast food.
No.
Right.
Well, and the respect and the credibility and also what they've built too as a reputation. So,
Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
No, I
Go
was just
ahead.
going to say on that too. So please, I mean, not you guys. I know not you guys. But when you see, because I think what happens to agents, it's foreign to them to see it actually happen. And I think most realtors are not investing in their sales skills.
Oh yeah, for sure. Most salespeople aren't.
No, they're not. And they're not practicing.
And that's what I've learned from like Andy Elliott and some of those. Speaking of that, what do you do? What are some things that you do to hone your sales skills? Because you clearly are different than most.
So I'm a big Susan Highland from back in the day, right? So when I was at DR last too, she did a bunch of training, and she has a book, and she has like 200 of the role plays. It's like from power lines to like railroad tracks to, you know, it's, I don't like the
All the
area,
objections.
everything. So I just try and practice through those. And then also too, going back to a tie down with them too, and I'll go to that too in a second about tie down and trial close. I really try and practice that. And the time I used to do a lot of times in the car. Right, and because if I can talk out loud and
For
hear myself
sure,
too,
for sure.
and then in the beginning, I remember when like Christy's holding babies, like Christy, all right, role play me,
Love
right?
it.
Get your spouse involved
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
because she's the hardest one, you know. Sell Christy, like
Oh,
you ain't gonna
for
sell
sure.
Christy
Yeah.
nothing, bro. She, like Carrie, right, bro? You ain't gonna sell.
You sell a mom.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
good.
You can do it. So I really try and practice and be cognizant, and then if you lose on one, it's like I don't want to lose on that one again, right?
Yeah.
So you got to go practice that one too.
So Tyler, give us some tips and tricks, not tricks, but I would say tips for somebody that is looking to buy new, and why should they buy new? Like what are some pieces of advice for somebody that's watching this and just thinking, yeah, I think I might want to buy a new home?
So number one, well, two things. One, be represented by a realtor.
Thank you.
That's
Okay.
interesting to
Yep.
hear.
Yep. Because my business card always said builder representative. It didn't say buyer, right? Because people know the stories where like, well, I always have my dad's example, right, too, or where hey, the appraisal short and Janine gave $2,000 to make sure they got the home, right? Or no one could show up to move and Ryan grabbed his boys and helped them unload the truck,
happened,
right? The basket, Janine, the Cutco knife, right? The cut, that too, just different things too. Like they don't understand, or like the mortgage process. You guys understand the mortgage process. They don't. The title process, right? Too. Inspection period. So this sounds really funny from a builder to hear that too, but well, I come from a family of builders, and I've had the realtor events with you guys.
Yeah.
We love realtors.
Yeah.
Come represent it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Number
awesome.
one, come represent because you represent them in their best interest, right?
For sure. Can I just say that too, for builders that don't cooperate with agent representation, that's a red flag for a
Agreed.
buyer. I had clients that wanted to be in this new home neighborhood, and the builder wasn't working with agents, and they were like, we're not doing it. And they ended up, like a month later, a resale home came up that was practically brand new, and they bought that.
Yeah.
And that builder lost out because they wouldn't. And that's just like shady. Why wouldn't you want that buyer to be represented? So.
And I would go like, say, Ryan, you had like an open house near where I was selling in Santan Heights. Denver and I would swing by, get Ryan's info, and then give Ryan our info, saying anybody you see at the open house, Ryan, you send to us that's not representative, I'll register with Ryan.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
Right? Because Ryan's the procuring cause.
Yes. That's
Not
cool.
Ryan and I are partying. It's like, not that you work for me, but like, literally you kind of are working for me, and I'm working for you too. Because if I have all single stories and Ryan's doing a 2-story big lot, pool in the back, like we're really looking for a 2-story lot. I said, I got the home. That's down to Ryan. Now, will Ryan bring more people back to me?
Of course.
Absolutely. And then I would always have it too. I'd be at contract. People like have a realtor. I'm calling them through. Like, hey, DocuSign's coming your way. What are you talking about? Well, they said you representing them too, and I'm saying DocuSign. Well, I said, no, you're good. They're it's so foreign to them too. Some DocuSign, you know what that realtor did? Brought me 2-3 deals every single time.
I love it.
Right?
Isn't that the truth? When I work with a new build representative and they're an amazing person, I am like inclined
Yes.
to tell other
Yes.
people about him, and vice versa. When it's a horrible experience, just last night we did a seminar, and one of the attendees had asked, do we have builders that are our favorites? And it's one of those hard questions to ask. And we both did a really good job. You did a good job, Ryan, was just saying it depends, but most definitely we do. And we would gladly recommend certain builders because of that relationship.
I just had an amazing experience as the buyer's agent representing for this new build in Casa Grande. Shout out to Franny Metcalf.
Good.
She was amazing. And one of the coolest things is she would send me every week update photos of that house so that I can do something cool with it. She didn't even know what I was going to do with it. I didn't even ask her.
Yeah.
But I love that. And so that's huge.
And encompassing everything that we're talking about today, communication.
Yep.
Like you said, Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah, Janine. And I want to go back to your story on that bad agent. When it starts out bad in the beginning, it's going to be bad the whole journey
Yeah.
with that builder. So for the next 6 to 8 months, if it's a new build and you're married, that's a bad marriage. Now something's going to go wrong with construction. Something's going to go wrong with lending. They're not going to be, it's just going to be bad up front. Your first impression we talked about too. So number one, be represented. That sounds crazy to say, but here, I'll tell the secret. You ready? 86, our profit margin is built so that 86% of the deals are done with realtors.
Nice.
We've already built it in.
Yep.
That's a
Yep.
secret. I
Yep.
just told it.
Yep.
So whenever people are like, do I get a better deal with realtor? I said, nope. And then I said, plus if I do year one deal to cut a realtor out, my realtor relationships have been built since 2006.
Yes.
So that one burns over 1,000 for me on realtor
Yes.
relationships in my name.
Yes.
So it's not worth two.
Good, great
And we
perspective.
always say that, and we said this last night too at our seminar, that builders are incentivized to keep us happy so that we
yes.
keep bringing our clients back. So it's really advantageous to have a realtor representing
Absolutely. Yeah, and you guys have been to that rodeo. You know. So number two, get qualified. I know it's with your lender sometimes it's tough because the builder's going to offer a better one. That's okay. They do the refi down the road, do the HELOC. It is what it is. I hate to, and I'm not trying to take that business away. Everybody's got to feed their kids and hustle, and I appreciate that too. And we partner with other backup lenders sometimes too. But definitely have people qualified. And then when you go in, I've seen this so many times. Walk in, business card in hand, what are your incentives? What are your incentives?
Oh.
Yeah. Here, Janine walks in.
Yep.
Hey, Janine, what's going on? What are your incentives, Tyler? Here's the card. I was like, okay, well, hey,
Right.
start a conversation. Have
Right.
ping pong. Because the stuff I know, or a lot of sales representatives, my salespeople have what's called pocket money.
What do you mean?
So an extra $2,000 to $5,000 in their pocket they can use for you based on how you treat them.
Absolutely.
I love
Well,
that.
speaking of that, we could give you, it seems like hundreds of examples of opportunities that our clients got with a house that they probably wouldn't have gotten had we not had a relationship with that builder rep.
Yeah.
That was already
does
really,
make a
really
difference,
good.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have one in my mind right now that was just recently, and there was somebody else that was looking at it, and we got dibs.
Yeah.
And we weren't even the first ones there.
Absolutely.
love it.
I
So-
could probably dig through my phone too with my realtor base. And Janine, I know it's been time for like something
Yeah.
fell out. I'll call her.
Yeah.
Hey, you had this other person.
Yeah.
I'll call her first.
Yeah.
I'll call you first.
Yeah.
Because I know you, like, we have that relationship
Yeah.
built too.
Yep. Awesome.
I love that. And one thing that I always love to do when I'm meeting a client at a new build for the first time is get there early and have a conversation with you to get all the ins and outs of what's going on so that I can speak intelligently to my client and represent them well. So
And that's what the pros do, right? Yep.
Good
And then,
tip.
yep, pro tip all the way too. And then understand lending. Understand it. Like, so going back to resale and new homes too. And then the most powerful tool, and I have a perfect example, like my new guy's Jose. So we went through training, he's full. And when I train you, I only train you, I can look in your eye and see when I'm giving you too much, and I'll stop. So I waited about 2-3 months. He sold some homes too. And when I told him, I said, bro, right now you're a designated hitter. You can hit a home run. That's all you do. He's like, what do you mean? Because he had come from furniture sales. He and his dad owned a furniture company, sold for 10 years. He can sell. But I said, I want you to be a 5-tool player. So I want you to say home runs you get to sell, because selling's this much of it. It's all the rest, right? Can you close it? I said, because if you were going up against someone like me too, so I'm across the street, I'm a 5-tool player. So I can steal bases, I can hit home runs, I can catch the ball, I can pitch, all that too. So they'll come over here and you'll do your charm, your Jose thing. I can sell you too. But I've already planned like 4 or 5 landmines before they got there.
yeah, I love it.
It's like, so you guys don't include the garage door opener, right? Oh, you guys don't do blinds. Oh, no backyard landscape too. Oh, when you go, oh, you're right. And so like, too, I've already got it planted. So they get to you and you do the whole thing and they leave and you're scratching your head like that stuff worked on everybody else. You don't know that I cross the street smoked you.
Right, right.
I said, then plus the other thing too, if you let them leave your office, you don't close them, I will.
Yes, I love it.
So that's the other thing too. And like going back to you saying mindset, Ryan, too, it's kind of like I'm trying to be in the standpoint of like, you could drop me anywhere, anytime, any place I could sell home. And I kind of had a test on it because they threw me out in Louisiana for a week for the worst performing community for D.R. Horton and wanted me to pull it out in 1 week. And so we turned that place upside down.
That's awesome.
Sold a house the next week, and then she sold 3 houses the second week.
Oh,
So what's
that's
your role at
awesome.
Starlight?
So I'm a sales manager.
Okay.
So that's everything, man. Like from pricing and margins, right, to the meetings, to opening communities, to mentoring my people. And then I'm a different sales manager. Most sales managers, and this you can tell too on the phone when something goes wrong, are sitting up in Scottsdale, right? I sit in my bullpen with my salespeople every day.
love it.
That's
I
where I
love
sit.
that.
So I hear their calls. Because it's another thing. So remember we talked about the critical pack, requalify, demonstrate, site, close. We talked about urgency, income, need. Another skill is give, get. If I'm give you something, Janine, I got to get something back. So Janine's like, hey, what's your closing cost of it? It's $5,000. Janine, how soon are they looking to move? Ryan's like, well, yeah, what homes do you have? Well, I got anywhere from 1,400 square feet to 1,300 square feet. Where do you live now, Ryan?
I love it.
When I give you something, I got to
Yes.
get something back.
Yes.
So here my agents on the phone feature dump.
Yes.
Yeah, we got this too. This price is like, if Cobrooks is like, I said, bro, you didn't ask them one question,
Right.
man. Because what they're doing is they're trying to get you off the phone so I have to make the drive.
Yes. I think there's so much power in asking questions that people and listening, right? Sitting back and listening. But yeah, you can guide a conversation just by asking questions.
Absolutely. And
So much
listening.
power in that.
So we do a caliper test or like the DISC test on people too. And before I interview, if I look at the active listening and slow, I won't even interview. Because it means you won't listen to the people and you won't listen to me. Right? And then we all in marriages. The reason why we're still married, have great marriages, because we all listen.
Right.
Right? That's like powerful to communication
Oh
and
my
listening in your
gosh,
marriage,
yeah.
right? To
So Tyler, what didn't we ask you that we should have asked you?
let's see. Well, I'll finish the story real quick
'Kay.
on the new home sales. So finally get the job, right? With Morrison Homes. Did a panel interview, and they're blown away when I slid those books across. I could sell myself.
Yeah, I bet.
Which that's what you guys do, listing presentation,
Yes.
right? Too. The homes, I saw your gear back here in the
Yes.
back being stored. So did that too, got the job, was there 6 months. DR was across the street. And like I'm selling 1 home a month because we're 50,000 more than DR across the street, and Dayland's selling 32. And so one day these guys come home from DR like, hey, I see they're do DR, so I talk trash, back and forth. I don't know that's the division president. So 2 weeks later, this guy goes, fax. That's how long ago. Fax your resume here, go interview,
Yeah.
and they go, this is the guy.
Nice.
Like, who's this guy? That wise guy.
Right.
Like, yeah, man, I said it like that too. And then that's the division president you were talking trash to, Tyler.
Funny. So funny.
So we go through 2006 starting, and that's the recession. And going back to the drive you're talking about, Ryan. So every Monday I would come in and see people getting laid off on the way in. And then they had a meeting where they say, hey, look, if you don't sell this many homes by Monday, this many people lose their job. Then the next week it said, hey, look, we can leave all the AC on in the specs to show over the summer, or we can turn them all off and 31 people keep their job. We said, turn it off. Let's keep their jobs. So we went from 600 people in the Phoenix Metro Valley to 60. So we short sold our home, other one foreclosure, gave car back to, and on my days off, I'm cleaning bank owned properties with a scoop show with my buddy
Yep.
to try and make it, right? Because we got kids and families. So I'm like, hey, too bad. We'll keep working too. So went through all that too, still selling, left, did some banking, and learned a ton of banking because I learned to do all the loan mod, short sell, deed in lieu, repay, reinstate. Because when I came back in 2014, I was still doing real estate on the side. I had all that in my back pocket. Everybody coming to the market in 2014 had one of those three.
Right.
Remember
Right.
that? So did that too, went to DR, and then the reason why I'm at Starlight now, last September on LinkedIn, I'm on the couch, not checking my messages that often. 2 weeks prior, a recruiter hit me up, say, hey, you want to think about being a sales manager? And I always thought about doing that too, because with the Andy Elliott seminar, it's like, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Yep.
So I was like, I can sell, but I was at that point. So what we always try on my salespeople, what I'm trying to get you to do, it's called is unconscious competent.
Yeah.
You don't have to think through it anymore. You see it with your dad. You guys have it. But your dad especially, your dad does not have to think through anything. It just comes,
For
right?
sure, for sure.
So I'm trying to get them that point too. So I was at that point, dear, I was on autopilot and I wanted the new challenge.
And just to piggyback off of that, it's so funny, but with high achievers, this is true. One of the most uncomfortable places for me is when I'm comfortable.
Yes.
Isn't that, it's so true. And I find that in my business times where as soon as I start to feel comfortable, I'm like, oh no, right? So.
Listen and be yourself. Going back to that too, I think with new agents especially too, I heard a great quote I used to use in interviews all the time when I was young called, I'd rather have ignorance on fire than brilliance on ice.
Oh, yes. Right.
I'd rather you guys hire some new person here.
Right.
I'd rather just them have fire inside that they love real estate, because then you feed off it. And you're like, hey, that's what it felt to when you're doing the grind. And they're not afraid to talk to anyone. I'd see it in copies. We'd have a territory where an old guy got moved. They put a new guy there, and he's selling everywhere because he doesn't know all the people not to sell to, right? Or talk to.
Right.
Same thing in real estate, right? Just had that eggs on fire. And going back to the comfort. And then Andy Elliott, not steal everything from him, but he has treat every day like day one. Right? Like it's your first day selling real estate. How did you feel, right? Just treat it like day one. Do that in your marriage. Do that with your kids, right? All that. And then going back to church, big fan. I'm going to do a commercial Rock Point. Love Rock Point. And I wanted to do a commercial today too. Go back to church in person.
Yes.
You got to be there in person, right?
Yes.
They had worship night, which I haven't been to worship night in
it's
7, 8
amazing.
years. And I just the cleansing
Yes.
and being around all those people too on a Thursday night. Definitely took my kids with us, right? All that too. But please go back to church. And I'll tell a secret. We were talking about being successful in real estate. It's the generosity and serving are the successful ones.
Yes, it is. What was that we listened to recently where they said, oh, this was it. I told you guys this yesterday in that Netflix documentary about the blue zones, like the people that live to 100. One of the most common traits, there were several commonalities among these people, but one of them was that they all served. Isn't that amazing? The power in serving and thinking about someone else. It's powerful to sit and worship with your kids too, right? What a blessing that is. And I love that you said get back to church and get off the couch and go back to church. There's something different about being in person. COVID was awesome for helping us to kind of push with technology, right? And see what we can do with it. But I think so many things people just got lazy with. And that was one of them is like, I'll just watch church online or whatever.
And you don't realize, and then we go about the energy, right? Too, talking about too. Dave Ramsey had the best quote for it, right, during the pandemic. Generosity is the vaccine for fear. So just sharing that. So I'll use Mickey Scola, and I brought a couple other stories to tell today, if that's all right, if we're doing okay on time too. So Mickey Scola has been doing new home sales 26 years with DR. Last year was the MAME Awards. It's like the Oscars for new homes, sold $50 million in real estate, just him. And he was telling stories about giving where there's a lady he sold a house to that was a widow that was losing the house to foreclosure. He went and bought the house, put her back in the house, and then when she could buy it again, he sold it back to her.
I love that.
And that's one of numerous stories for him that I learned from him too. So I remember learning that too. I had a guy, single dad, 2 kids. He's a correctional officer out there in Florence. And I could take the 500 earnest in December, but I said, hey, look, you trying to do Christmas, right? I said, yeah. I said, let's not do an earnest. I'll get approval. Because all your kids need toys for Christmas, right?
I love
So that giving thing, you guys see it all the time. And I saw it from my dad. I'm telling so many stories. I hope that's okay too.
I love it. Those are good.
So my dad and I were broke, and when we were living in the trailer, he's trying to get his real estate off the ground, and we would go to, remember Burger King had the 99-cent Whopper, right? So I had the 9 side Whoppers. We meet like once we check in, and my grandparents had a Cadillac in Wyoming that they only drove to church on Sunday. So it's 10 years old, only has 10,000 miles on it, right? But he's using it as his real estate car, right? Taking people out the Cadillac. We see a lady single wide truck, like single cab truck with 4 kids, pull out and hit every panel on the side of that Cadillac. So we walk outside, and she instantly, you can already see the tears. And my dad walks out the window and goes, "It don't look that bad. Have a good night."
Oh, that's awesome.
So like so one day I'll be at his funeral, and I'll tell that story.
That's powerful. That speaks to his character, and yeah, that's awesome.
I want to end on. Sorry.
No, you're
That's
good.
good.
You're
It's
good.
good. Hey, if we laugh, we cry, right?
Yes.
It's a good day of love.
I love it.
I'm gonna tell a story then about his brother. So Uncle Steve, it goes back to what you're saying, Ryan, on like your reputation, because none of us are perfect. And so Uncle Steve was, when my grandma was pregnant, she was having a lot of morning sickness, so they tried like an experimental drug on her for the morning sickness, and he stopped moving in the womb. And when he came out, like he had the umbilical cord around his neck, and he had cerebral palsy. He's part deaf and blind. So back then in Wyoming, like there's no special bus, special classes, no nothing, right? So like, and my grandma's from Germany. So like she sing me in German and then sing in English and play the harmonica, and like she's gristle because my grandfather worked on the railroad. So like Steve, like my dad and Steve had to shovel all the widows' walks and driveways for a school. They had paper routes in the snow. This is my Uncle Steve, like all that stuff too. And he had trouble talking too. But he'd go to door to sign up people for the newspaper with my dad too, to sell newspapers. So fast forward, he graduates from the University of Wyoming. He goes to work for the Forestry Service for 30 years, becomes a Disabled Person of the Year, gets to meet the President of the United States. And then he offers a scholarship at University of Wyoming for the speech pathology department, so that anybody like that needs the help. It's not much, but it was what he could give. So 30 years goes by, and his feet kept turning. So he lifted weights and swam every day because of his disability. His feet kept curling under, so they would have to cut the tendons and flatten his foot out, and he had to wear a boot because he walked to work every day in Wyoming.
Wow.
No, never complained. So he goes to the retirement party, gets his retirement, and then he has to go on assisted living. He saved up $500,000 to pay for his own assisted living. Wow. So when I see my last name, Elliott, like I can't complain, right? No, it's like, and then this is not a funny story. I was taking my daughter to cross country over here at the park, and I heard she wasn't doing good, and I told her I would change her last name. I said, like, that's not fair to the name and the dynasty of the name, too.
Yes.
But people don't think that way anymore. Remember, the Bible says a great name is like fine gold, right?
Yeah.
That's what you guys have built here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to come here today. I was so excited to come because you guys have built that reputation here. I see all the stuff you do and all the serving you guys do and giving, too.
For sure.
Sorry, but that's
I
part
love
of it,
that.
too. Yeah.
That's like if we can take our influence, take our blessings that we've truly been blessed with and go be a blessing to someone else, that's what it's all about, right? It's not about keeping it and hoarding it for yourself, but it's about giving it away. And I love that idea with your kids. And we say this too, like you're an Igliani, right?
Yes.
I want them to be like, yes, I am. And this is what we do. This is who we are, right? And to have that sense of pride and just knowing who they are. I think there's so much power. I'm just going to say this and then we can close. In reminding others of who they are and who you see them. I had texted my daughter this morning and I did it intentionally. She's struggling with school and college and being away and just that adjustment, not having any money.
Yeah.
And just the schoolwork is hard for her. And just that reality of like, wow, this is my life. I texted her. I was like, Elise, you're a rock star. Yes. And I know that even when you go through hard times, that you will persevere and come out on top and you're going to change this world. And she responded, was like, oh my gosh, Mom, thank you. I love you. And I just want her to know I believe in her and I'm there cheering for her. And I think there's so much power in that. Tyler, we are here cheering for you. You're an amazing person. We were super excited to have you. And I was so glad you did this. And thanks for all that you shared. So how can people find you?
Okay, so starlighthomes.com.
Yes.
We got that too. And then I got Magma Ranch, Magic Ranch, and Bella Vista Farms, all on the MLS too. So all those places to
Tell
find
us
my
what
people.
you guys have. Like
So so we did this. So Starlight started off at Ashton Woods. Ashton Woods been around 30 years, started in Canada, right? Then great homes, great reputation. So about 6 years ago, they said, hey, let's start a first-time home buyer product. And so they launched Starlight, and it's just been blowing up and growing like crazy. We're in Arizona, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, and Georgia. So we're in all those places, and then that's where we're selling. So we have anywhere from 1,400 square feet to 3,100 square feet. And it's that model, like we just include everything for you.
Nice.
Right? Just get people in the first home. The goal is just getting that first one, right? So that's our goal too. And then the plans I have are the same at all communities.
Okay.
So we know Florence is a little bit less, right, than Santana if that doesn't work too. And then my agents are incentivized to, if it's not right at Bella, they're going to try and get you to Florence.
Yeah.
And then Florence still has USDA 0 down
Oh, nice.
too. So
Nice.
some options. And then the two communities I have in Florence, one has like a $36 HOA, which is super cheap.
Amazing.
And the other one, they just built a brand new community center, $7 million community center in Florence.
Wow.
Pool, locker rooms, all that.
So much is going out that way, and that's cool because there isn't a lot of options, unfortunately, for first-time home buyers. So that's cool that you guys are doing that. That's a much-needed product.
Absolutely. Last thing I'll say, because I've given like 30 things, right? But the verse I started with real estate was lazy hands make a man poor, but diligent hands bring wealth. Right?
That's awesome.
And I'm so glad you shared those. And then respect here too, because with you and Ryan too, it's like two people that are their authentic self.
Well, thanks, Tyler. You are as well.
Thanks for being a part of this.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to The Real Deal, where real estate meets real life. Make sure to follow or subscribe to the home selling team on YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify to stay up to date with our podcast.